house at 1147 Millbrook Road had been empty for 11 years when Marcus Webb first saw it. He was driving through rural Pennsylvania, lost on back roads after his GPS died somewhere outside of Scranton, when the Victorian structure appeared through the autumn fog like a ship emerging from gray water. Marcus pulled his car to the shoulder and stared. The house was massive, 3 stories of weathered gray wood with a wraparound porch that sagged in the middle like a tired smile. The windows were dark, many of them cracked or missing entirely, and the roof had partially collapsed on the eastern side, exposing rafters that looked like broken ribs against the overcast sky. But it wasn't the decay that made Marcus stop. It was something else, something he couldn't quite name. A feeling, maybe. A pull. He was a photographer by trade, specializing in abandoned places, factories, hospitals, asylums. His Instagram had nearly 2 million followers, and his coffee table book, Forgotten America, had spent 3 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. He'd built his career on finding places like this, but he'd never felt anything like this before. Marcus grabbed his camera bag from the passenger seat and stepped out of the car. The October air was cold and damp, carrying the smell of wet leaves and something else, something faintly metallic, like old pennies, like blood. He told himself he was being dramatic. He told himself it was just a house. He walked up the cracked concrete path anyway. The front door was unlocked, not just unlocked, slightly ajar, as if someone had left in a hurry and forgotten to close it behind him. Marcus pushed it open with his shoulder, and the hinges screamed in protest, the sound echoing through the empty foyer like a wounded animal. Inside, the air was thick and still. Dust motes floated in the weak light that filtered through the dirty windows, giving the space an underwater quality. Marcus could see his breath. The foyer opened into a grand entrance hall, with a curved staircase ascending into darkness on the left and a series of doorways leading to other rooms on the right. The wallpaper, once probably a rich burgundy, had faded to a sickly brown and was peeling away in long strips, revealing water-stained plaster beneath. Marcus raised his camera and began shooting. He moved through the first floor methodically, the way he always did. Living room, dining room, kitchen. Each space told its own story of abandonment, overturned furniture, shattered dishes. A calendar on the kitchen wall still turned to March 2013. Someone had left in the middle of their life, it seemed, just walked away and never came back. It happened more often than people realized. Marcus had seen it dozens of times. Financial ruin, family tragedy. Sometimes people just couldn't bear to stay in a place anymore. They left everything behind and started over somewhere else, letting their old lives rot in silence. But something about this house felt different. In the dining room, Marcus noticed the first strange thing. The chairs around the long oak table weren't just pushed back, they were arranged in a circle, all facing inward as if for some kind of meeting or ritual. And in the center of that circle, scratched into the wood of the table itself, was a symbol. Marcus leaned closer, his camera forgotten. The symbol was roughly carved, clearly done by hand with something sharp. It looked like a spiral, but not quite. The lines didn't connect smoothly. They jutted and angled, creating something that looked almost like a maze viewed from above, or a fingerprint, or something else entirely. Marcus had seen a lot of strange things in abandoned places. Graffiti, satanic symbols drawn by bored teenagers, drug paraphernalia. But this felt older, more deliberate. He took a photo of the symbol and moved on. The second floor was worse. The hallway stretched the length of the house, with doors on either side leading to what must have been bedrooms. But every single door was closed, and on every single door, someone had painted the same symbol, the spiral maze, in what looked like rust-colored paint. Marcus stood at the top of the stairs for a long moment, his heart beating harder than it should have been. It's just a house, he told himself again, just an empty house where something bad probably happened a long time ago. He approached the first door on the left and turned the handle. The room beyond was a child's bedroom. A small bed with a faded Disney princess comforter, a bookshelf filled with picture books, a rocking horse in the corner, its painted eyes staring at nothing. And on the wall above the bed, written in that same rust-colored paint, "Don't let it see you." Marcus felt something cold move through him, not fear exactly, something deeper, something more primal, the feeling you get when you're being watched by something you can't see. He took a photo. His hands were shaking slightly. The next room was similar, another child's bedroom, this one decorated for a boy, sports posters on the walls, a baseball glove on the dresser, and the same message painted above the bed in those unsettling rust-red letters, "Don't let it see you." Marcus moved faster now, opening door after door, a master bedroom, a bathroom, a home office. Each one had the message somewhere, on the walls, on the ceiling, even on the floor. "Don't let it see you. Don't let it see you. Don't let it see you." By the time he reached the last door at the end of the hall, Marcus's breath was coming fast and shallow. His instincts were screaming at him to leave, to get back in his car and drive away and never think about this place again. But he'd built his career on ignoring those instincts, on going into the dark places where other people wouldn't go. He opened the last door. The room beyond was different from the others, smaller, darker. The windows had been boarded up from the inside, and the walls were covered, completely covered, with newspaper clippings, photographs, and handwritten notes. Marcus stepped inside, his camera hanging forgotten around his neck. The clippings were all about the same thing: disappearances. Children mostly, but some adults too. Dozens of them, going back decades. They were from different newspapers, different towns, different states. But they all shared one thing in common. Each victim had last been seen near a house, an old house, an abandoned house. Marcus moved closer to the wall, his eyes scanning the photographs. He realized they were crime scene photos, official ones, the kind that shouldn't have been available to the public. Empty rooms, empty yards, empty fields. But not quite empty. In each photo, if you looked closely enough, there was something in the background, a shadow that didn't quite match its surroundings, a dark shape in a doorway or window, something that might have been a trick of the light, or might not have been. Marcus's hands were trembling badly now. He turned to look at the handwritten notes, and his blood went cold. The notes were a journal, dated entries going back years, written in a cramped, frantic hand that grew more erratic as the pages progressed. March 3rd, 2012. It started watching me 3 days ago. I can feel its eyes on me when I sleep, when I wake, when I try to run. There is no running. March 7th, 2012. I figured out the rules. It can only see you if you see it first. Don't look at the shadows. Don't look at the dark places. Don't let it see you. March 12th, 2012. The children saw it. God help me, the children saw it. I told them not to look, but children don't listen. They never listen. And now it knows their faces, and it won't stop until... The entry ended there, mid-sentence. Marcus flipped through the remaining pages, but they were blank. He looked at the date of the last entry again, March 12th, 2012. The calendar downstairs had been turned to March 2013. Someone had been here for another year after this journal ended, living in this house with whatever had driven the writer mad. Or maybe not living, maybe just waiting. Marcus heard the sound then, a soft, wet noise, like bare feet on damp wood. It was coming from somewhere below him, from the first floor, from the front door. He went very still. The sound came again, closer this time, moving through the house with a slow, deliberate patience, like something that had all the time in the world, like something that knew he couldn't escape. Marcus looked around the small room, his heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. The only way out was the door he'd come through, the door that led to the hallway that led to the stairs that led down. He heard it again, closer, on the stairs now, he thought, coming up. Don't let it see you. The words echoed in Marcus's mind. Don't let it see you. It can only see you if you see it first. He closed his eyes.
The footsteps continued, up the stairs, down the hallway, slow and patient, wet and wrong. Marcus pressed himself against the wall of the small room, his eyes squeezed so tight he saw stars. He could hear his own breathing, ragged and terrified. He could hear his heart beating like a drum. And he could hear it, right outside the door now, standing there, waiting. He didn't open his eyes. Seconds passed, minutes, hours maybe. Marcus lost track of time, lost track of everything except the desperate need to keep his eyes closed, to not look, to not see. Eventually, the footsteps moved away, back down the hallway, down the stairs, away. Marcus waited another 10 minutes before he opened his eyes. His legs were shaking so badly he could barely stand. His hands were numb from gripping his camera strap. He had to leave. He had to leave right now. But as he turned toward the door, something caught his eye. A photograph he hadn't noticed before, pinned to the wall near the floor. A photograph of the house. This house, taken from the road, from almost exactly where Marcus had parked his car. And in the photograph, standing in the second-floor window of the small room at the end of the hall, the room that Marcus was standing right now, was a figure. It was dark, featureless, just a shadow shaped vaguely like a person. But it was looking out the window, looking at the camera, looking at whoever had taken the picture. Marcus felt the temperature in the room drop. Slowly, against every instinct he had, he turned to look at the window. The boards were gone. The window was clear. And outside, standing on the road next to his car, was a woman. She was looking up at him. Marcus ran. He didn't think, he didn't plan. He just moved, his body taking over while his mind screamed in terror. Down the hallway, down the stairs, through the foyer. The front door was closed now. He grabbed the handle and pulled, but it wouldn't budge, locked from the outside. That was impossible. That was completely impossible. Marcus spun around, looking for another way out. The windows. He could break a window. He ran into the living room and grabbed a wooden chair, swinging it at the nearest window with all his strength. The glass shattered, shards flying outward into the gray afternoon light. Marcus climbed through, not caring about the glass that cut his hands, his arms, his legs. He dropped onto the porch and ran down the steps, across the overgrown lawn, towards his car. The woman was gone. His car was still there exactly where he'd left it. Marcus yanked open the driver's door and threw himself inside, jamming his key into the ignition with bloody fingers. The engine turned over on the first try. He slammed the car into drive and tore away from the house at 1147 Millbrook Road. He didn't look back.
He didn't look in his rearview mirror. He just drove. Marcus didn't stop until he reached Philadelphia, nearly 3 hours later. He checked into the first hotel he saw, a generic chain place near the airport, and locked himself in his room with the lights on and the TV playing at full volume. His hands had stopped bleeding, but the cuts were deep. He should probably go to the hospital, get stitches, get a tetanus shot. He didn't move from the bed. Instead, he pulled out his camera and began scrolling through the photos he'd taken. The foyer, the living room, the dining room with its strange symbol, the bedrooms with their warnings, the small room at the end of the hall with its wall of obsession. He stopped on the last photo he'd taken, the one of the window, the one he didn't remember taking. In the photo, the window was clear, no boards, and through the glass, visible in the gray light of the overcast day, was the road, his car, and standing next to his car, a figure, dark, featureless, just a shadow shaped vaguely like a person. But not the woman, something else, something worse, something that was looking up at the window, looking at the camera, looking at him. Marcus stared at the photo for a long time. His hands were shaking again. It can only see you if you see it first. He had seen it in the photograph. He had looked right at it, which meant it could see him now. The first night was the hardest. Marcus didn't sleep. He sat on the hotel bed with every light on, watching the shadows, waiting.
Nothing happened. Nothing moved. But he could feel something watching him. Something patient. Something hungry. In the morning, he packed his bag and drove home to Boston. His apartment felt different now. Smaller, darker, full of corners where something could hide. He went through every room, turning on every light, checking every closet and cabinet. Nothing. But the feeling didn't go away. Over the next few days, Marcus tried to convince himself that it had all been in his head. The house was creepy, sure. The journal and the photos were disturbing, but that didn't mean any of it was real. Someone had obviously been living there with severe mental illness, creating elaborate fantasies about monsters and shadows. That was all. That was the rational explanation. But the feeling persisted. The sensation of being watched. The certainty that something was standing just behind him, just out of sight, waiting. He started seeing things in his peripheral vision. Shapes in doorways. Shadows that moved wrong. A figure standing in the corner of his bedroom that vanished when he turned to look directly at it. He stopped sleeping. He stopped eating. He started researching. The house at 1147 Millbrook Road had been built in 1892 by a man named Elias Croft. According to local records, Croft had been a successful businessman who made his fortune in textiles. He'd built the house for his wife and 3 children, and they'd lived there happily for nearly a decade. Then, in 1901, the entire family disappeared. No bodies were ever found, no evidence of foul play. They simply vanished one night, leaving behind all their possessions, all their money, all their plans. The house passed through several owners over the following century, but no one ever stayed long. There were stories, whispered rumors about strange sounds and unexplained disappearances. A couple in the 1920s who went mad. A family in the 1950s whose children were found wandering the woods 3 miles away with no memory of how they got there. A man in the 1980s who set fire to the house with himself inside. But the house didn't burn. The flames went out on their own, leaving the structure damaged but standing. And then there was the family from 2012, the Hendersons, mother, father, 2 children. They'd bought the house as a fixer-upper, planning to restore it to its former glory. They lasted 8 months before vanishing, just like the Crofts over a century before. The journal Marcus had found must have belonged to Robert Henderson, the father, the one who'd figured out the rules. Don't let it see you. But Marcus had already broken that rule. He had seen the photograph. He had looked right at it, which meant it could see him now. 2 weeks after his visit to the house, Marcus saw it for the first time with his own eyes. He was in his apartment, sitting at his computer, trying to edit photos from a shoot he'd done before his trip to Pennsylvania. The lights were all on. The TV was playing in the background. Everything was normal. Then his screen flickered, just for a second, just long enough for the room to go dark. And in that moment of darkness, Marcus saw it, standing in the corner of the room, tall and thin and wrong. Not quite a shadow, more like an absence of light shaped into something that almost resembled a person. It had no face, no features, just a smooth, dark surface that seemed to drink in the light around it. But it was looking at him. He could feel its attention like a physical weight pressing against his skin. Then the screen came back on, the lights returned, and the corner was empty. Marcus sat at his computer frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. His heart was beating so fast it hurt. It's real, he thought. God help me, it's real.
He called in sick to work the next day, and the day after that. He stopped leaving his apartment, stopped answering his phone. His friends thought he was having a breakdown. His editor threatened to sue him for breach of contract. Marcus didn't care. He couldn't think about anything except the thing in the corner, the thing that was getting closer every time he saw it.
It happened gradually at first. A shadow in his bedroom doorway when he woke up in the middle of the night, a shape in the bathroom mirror that disappeared when he turned around, a feeling of something standing just behind his shoulder that made his skin crawl. Then it got worse. The shadows started lasting longer, appearing more frequently, getting closer. 3 weeks after his visit to the house, Marcus saw it standing at the foot of his bed when he opened his eyes at 3 a.m. It was clearer now. He could almost make out details in its form. Long limbs, a head that tilted slightly to one side, something that might have been fingers reaching toward him. He screamed and turned on the light. The thing vanished. But it took longer to disappear this time. A full second after the light came on, he could still see it, fading slowly like a photograph being bleached by the sun. It's getting stronger, Marcus realized. Every time I see it, it gets stronger. He tried not looking, tried keeping his eyes closed the way he had in the house. But he couldn't keep his eyes closed forever. He had to sleep eventually. He had to blink. And every time he did, it was there, waiting. 1 month after his visit to the house, Marcus made a decision. He couldn't run. He couldn't hide. He couldn't pretend this wasn't happening. The thing was going to get him eventually, just like it had gotten all those other people over the years, all those missing children, all those vanished families. But maybe, just maybe, he could stop it first. He went back to his research, dug deeper, found things that shouldn't have been available to the public, police reports, psychiatric evaluations, deathbed confessions, pieced together a history that spanned more than 100 years. The thing had always been connected to the house. Every disappearance, every tragedy, every madness, they all traced back to 1147 Millbrook Road. The house wasn't just where the thing lived, the house was what the thing was. Elias Croft hadn't built a house, he'd built a door. The journal entries Marcus had found mentioned rules, don't let it see you. But there were other rules too, mentioned in fragments scattered across more than 100 years of documentation. Don't speak its name, don't invite it in, don't let it touch you. And finally, in a letter written by a priest in 1923, to close the door, one must return to where it was opened. The blood that sealed it can unseal it. The eyes that opened it can close it. Marcus didn't fully understand what that meant, but he understood enough. He had to go back to the house. The drive to Pennsylvania felt longer this time. The October weather had turned to November, and the trees had lost most of their leaves, standing bare and skeletal against a gray sky that threatened snow. Marcus arrived at 1147 Millbrook Road just as the sun was setting. The house looked the same as before, weathered and decayed, a ruin slowly being reclaimed by nature. But there was something different about it now, something alive. The windows seemed to watch him as he approached, dark eyes tracking every one of his movements. Marcus walked up the cracked concrete path, his heart pounding in his chest. He was carrying a backpack filled with supplies, flashlights, batteries, a hammer, nails, and a knife. He didn't know exactly what he was going to do, but he knew he had to try. The front door was open again, waiting for him. He stepped inside. The house was darker than before. The weak daylight seemed not to penetrate the windows the way it had on his first visit. The shadows were thicker, more solid, pressing in from all sides. Marcus turned on his flashlight and made his way to the stairs. He could feel it watching him now, not from any particular direction, from everywhere. The walls, the floor, the air itself. The house was the thing, and the thing was the house, and it knew he was here. But it didn't stop him. It let him climb the stairs, let him walk down the hallway, let him enter the small room at the end of the hall with its boarded windows and its walls covered in obsessive documentation. Maybe it wanted him here. Maybe this was all part of its plan. Marcus didn't care anymore. He was too tired to be afraid. He stood in the center of the room and closed his eyes. "I know you're here," he said. His voice sounded strange in the thick silence, thin and small. "I know what you are. I know what you want." Nothing answered, but the temperature in the room dropped several degrees. "You feed on fear," Marcus continued, "on attention, on being seen. That's how you get stronger. That's how you take people. They see you and you see them, and then you never let go." Still nothing, but Marcus could feel it now, a presence in the room with him, standing just behind him, reaching. "But here's the thing,"
Marcus said. "I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not running anymore. I came back. I chose to come back. And that means something, doesn't it? That means I have power too." He opened his eyes. It was standing in front of him. Tall, thin, wrong, a shape made of shadows and absence and hunger. It had no face, but Marcus could feel its attention focused on him like a laser, like a scalpel, like a finger pressing slowly into his brain. "I see you," Marcus said. The thing tilted its head. "And you see me." It reached for him. Marcus didn't flinch. He stood his ground and stared directly into the void where its face should have been. "But I'm not prey," he said. "I'm a witness, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you are. Every picture I took, every note I found, every piece of evidence that proves you exist, I'm going to put it all together and show the world, and then you won't be able to hide anymore. You won't be able to hunt in the shadows. Everyone will see you." The thing stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. They stood there, face to facelessness, predator and prey, hunter and witness. Then the thing did something Marcus didn't expect. It spoke. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, inside his head, inside the walls, inside the very fabric of reality. It wasn't words exactly, more like concepts pressed directly into his consciousness. "Not afraid?" "No," Marcus said, "not anymore." "Should be." And then it showed him. The visions came fast and brutal, 100 years of horror compressed into seconds. Marcus saw the Croft family huddled together in this very room as the thing descended upon them. He saw children screaming, adults weeping, souls being torn from bodies and dragged into somewhere else, somewhere dark, somewhere hollow. He saw the couple from the 1920s, their sanity unraveling as the thing picked them apart piece by piece. He saw the man from the 1980s setting fire to himself because burning seemed better than what waited in the shadows. He saw the Hendersons, Robert, Sarah, Emma, little Michael. He saw what happened to them, and he understood. The thing didn't just kill, it consumed. It took everything a person was, their memories, their hopes, their fears, and absorbed it into itself. The people it took didn't die, they became part of it, trapped forever in that hollow place where light couldn't reach. That was what awaited Marcus. That was his future if he failed. "Not too late," the voice said. "Close your eyes, don't look, run. Might let you go, might not follow." It was lying. Marcus knew it was lying. The rules said once it saw you, it never stopped. Once you saw it, you belonged to it. There was no escape. But there might be another way. "You're scared," Marcus said, the realization hitting him like a thunderbolt. "You're actually scared of being seen, of being known. That's why you hide in the dark. That's why you make people keep quiet." The thing didn't answer, but Marcus could feel its attention sharpen, its hunger, its rage. "You're not all-powerful," he continued. "You're just a parasite, a shadow that feeds on fear. And shadows disappear when you shine a light on them." Marcus reached into his backpack and pulled out his camera. "Smile," he said. The flash went off. The light was blinding, far brighter than any camera flash should have been. It filled the room, filled the house, filled the hollow place between worlds. For one eternal moment, everything was pure, white, burning illumination. And in that light, Marcus saw the thing clearly for the first and last time. It wasn't a shadow, it wasn't an absence, it was a door in the shape of a person, a portal to somewhere vast and empty and hungry. All the people it had taken were visible inside it, pressed against the boundaries of its form like faces against glass, screaming silently, reaching for rescue. The Crofts, the Hendersons, dozens of others going back more than a century. All of them trapped, all of them watching. The light began to fade.
The thing began to reform, pulling itself back together from the scattered shadows. But something had changed. Something was different. The faces inside it were moving, pushing, fighting. Robert Henderson's face pressed against the surface of the thing, his mouth forming words Marcus could almost hear. "Let us out!" And Marcus understood what he had to do. "I see you," he said again. But this time he wasn't talking to the thing. He was talking to the people inside it. "All of you, I see you. You're not forgotten. You're not nothing. You're still real." The faces pushed harder. The thing's form wavered, destabilized. Robert Henderson, Sarah Henderson, Emma Henderson, little Michael. With each name of the thing shuddered. With each name, the light inside Marcus's camera pulsed brighter. "I see you." And then something remarkable happened. The thing screamed. A sound that wasn't sound, a vibration that shook the foundations of reality itself and began to tear apart. The faces inside it pushed through its surface, becoming hands, becoming bodies, becoming free. They poured out of the thing like water from a broken vessel, ghosts, spirits, echoes of the people it had consumed over more than a century. They swirled around Marcus in a cyclone of light and memory, touching him briefly as they passed, sharing fragments of themselves before moving on. "Thank you," they said. "Thank you for seeing us." And then they were gone, moving on to wherever souls go when they're finally released, leaving behind nothing but fading light and the distant smell of autumn leaves. The thing, what was left of it, collapsed in on itself like a dying star. The room shook, the house groaned. Somewhere below, Marcus heard the sound of wood splintering, walls cracking, foundations giving way. He ran. The house collapsed just as Marcus reached his car. He turned to watch it fall, 3 stories of wood and history folding in on themselves, sending up a cloud of dust and debris that obscured everything. When the dust cleared, there was nothing left, just a pile of rubble where 1147 Millbrook Road used to stand. Just memories and echoes, and finally, silence. Marcus sat in his car for a long time watching the sun set behind the trees. His hands were steady, his heart was calm. For the first time in weeks, he didn't feel like he was being watched. The thing was gone, the door was closed, and somewhere, somehow, the people it had taken were finally at peace. Epilogue. Marcus never published his photos of the house. He never wrote about what happened there. Some things, he decided, weren't meant to be shared. Some doors were better left closed. But he did make one change to his life. He stopped photographing abandoned places, stopped seeking out the dark and forgotten corners of the world. Instead, he turned his camera towards light, towards life, towards joy, towards the beautiful and mundane moments that most people overlooked. His new book was called Found America. Pictures of families at parks, couples dancing at weddings, children laughing on playgrounds, the ordinary magic of everyday life. It sold even better than his first book. And sometimes, late at night, when the shadows in his apartment seemed a little too deep, a little too hungry, Marcus would look at his photos and remind himself that light always won in the end. Always. As long as someone was willing to see.